approve the nomination of Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta.
In charge, I'm minority leader this morning. I've just engaged with the party leadership and council of elders. No further comment on someone resigning or not. Thank you.
Today we're live in Parliament. We'll get an exclusive with the Minority Chief Whip. He's been reacting to that resignation, but the key question to him is there are calls tonight for him and the rest of the leadership to step aside. Will he? Plus, he responds to the accusations that they may have been bribed by some of the ministers who came before them on the appointments committee. Stay with us. And Top Story is always brought to you by Gasem Cement, the nation builder, also brought to you by Belacqua Mineral Water. In the last few minutes, we are learning that Speaker Alban Bagbin has now formally accepted the resignation of MP for North Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, who resigned today from the Appointments Committee over the decision by the Haruna Idrisu-led leadership to approve the nomination of Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta after the vetting. In a statement he posted on his Facebook page a short while ago, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa says, quote, I concluded a fruitful and frank meeting with Right Honourable Speaker Alban S.K. Bagbin a while ago. I am enormously grateful to him for accepting my resignation from the Appointments Committee of Parliament. May the good Lord show us mercy and guide our steps in the journey ahead. Today, there are desperate attempts underway by the party to close ranks and unite its front. Mend cracks emerging in Parliament amongst the minority NDC side. There's been a high-powered meeting today led by Johnson Sidin Ketia, the General Secretary, the party's Council of Elders, leadership of the Parliament, and MPs themselves among the NDC. And we're getting a few more details from that particular meeting. We'll be getting an exclusive shortly from Muntaka Mubarak, who've been delving into how they approached closing the ranks. Also tonight, we know that yesterday there has been a public disagreement with the leadership of the party by Mr. Adongo, an outspoken member of the minority himself. Tonight, we're also hearing from the constituencies of both leaders of the minority side, Muntaka Mubarak and Haruna Idrisu. There's a lot to cover for you tonight, but I want to start with the meeting that was held today by the leadership of the party's Council of Elders, the leadership of the minority in Parliament, and the members of Parliament themselves. Johnson Sidin Ketia addressed the press.
We came to, Parliament is rising, right. So there was conversation about the activities that should happen in the constituencies, basically. And we too, from the party level, have not done the normal orientation course that we do after fresh MPs come. So our proposals and all that are the subject matters of this week. And then how we are urging them to go and, continue with the thank you tours and other things to make sure that they don't disconnect from the grassroots of the party.
But how is the party reacting to the upset and the uproar among the grassroots over the approval of Ken Ofori-Atta?
These are your creations. They are basically your own creations. Because the ordinary person who has no food to eat cannot pay his water bills. Okay. He doesn't care who is approving whom where. So the matters of the day are the issues they have to go to constituencies to deal with.
So the approval of Ken is not of interest to the NDC hierarchy?
I don't think that. It is a matter that as a one-off event, it has passed. But we must face the reality of our living.
But was the party happy about its approval? I'm
saying that matter is out. I did indicate that it is the position of the party that if Akufo-Addo wants a lame duck Minister of Finance, let him have it. He's had his Minister of Finance. But that doesn't take away the suffering of the masses. So our MPs will go back and then deal with the situation that affects the daily lives of Ghanaians.
So I get a sense that the approval was taken by the party.
Yes.
It was a party decision.
Yes, a party decision.
To approve Ken Ofori-Atta.
Yes. It was a party decision.
I see, but some of your members in Parliament are upset about the decision. In fact, today, Ablakwa has resigned from being a member of the appointment committee.
I don't know.
How is the party taking that?
I haven't heard about his resignation. I don't have any copy about his resignation.
You haven't received a letter of his resignation?
I'm unable to comment on letters I haven't read. So you know my style. If I read the document and you want me to comment on it, I will do. But I will be surprised if it is coming out of Ken Ofori-Atta's approval. It shouldn't be coming out of Ken Ofori-Atta.
Because we do understand that they demanded some further information from Ken, so the approval they offered was conditional. If he's able to provide it, then they can approve him. Ken didn't do that, and so they decided not to approve him. But unfortunately,
I am saying
in the
that
chamber,
there was a party decision that let President Akufo-Addo have his finance minister, and that has been achieved. So what is all this about? Details about who agreed or who didn't agree. The point is that this was a party decision. It has been implemented, and that's all. That's the end of the story.
Well, Harun Edrisu himself, the minority leader who is in the line of fire tonight because he stood to second the motion to approve the nomination of Ken Ofori-Atta, although he did so with a litany of concerns, including breaches of regulations. He still went ahead to second the motion. There is a lot of pressure on him tonight. He's been addressing the press also.
In charge, I'm minority leader this morning. I've just engaged with the party leadership and council of elders. No further comment on someone resigning or not. Thank you. I was having a meeting with the national chairman, the general secretary, and some respected members of the council of elders of the NDC. The party is focused to work towards recapturing power in 2024. And the parliamentary organ, led by me currently, will do what is needful to work in tandem with the party to hold the Nana Akufo-Addo government accountable and to lead the party to victory into 2024. Whatever storm it is, we'll weather it.
the approval of Ken was an exchange of getting the NDC General Secretary into the Parliamentary Service Board, true?
Oh, absolutely not. The discussion for the determination of members of the Parliamentary Service Board long ensued even before Ken was nominated as Minister Designate for Finance. I had a discussion with the Speaker a day after his election, and it was my view that he allows the two leaders to nominate one person to the board. The Honorable Evans Mensah brought in Honorable Abraham Osei Edu. Then I also said Honorable Asedu Nketia, because they are all former members of Parliament. It has practically nothing, just the usual viciousness, malicious, despicable lies to tie the two together. This was 2 days after Bagbin, Honorable Alban Bagbin was elected. The two of us should concur, have a definite position, and concur that to the Speaker. So it is not true that Honorable Asedin Ketia has anything to do with the approval of Ken Ofori-Atta. At the appropriate time, many of you know me. Have you ever seen me retract my words publicly? God has choices, and God makes choices. Time will make choices. As for undermine, I have survived it. I will survive it.
Well, he says he will survive it, but as we are beginning to learn increasingly, the dissent among the ranks of the minority in the House is not only simmering internally, it is spilling over into the public domain. Yesterday, we heard from Mr. Adongo, who is a known public critic of the finance minister. He was the first to break ranks and go public with his disappointment with his own leadership.
I was not at committee to have the full facts with which they made a decision to go consensus. But having had consensus, you cannot be agitating on the floor. And so it didn't make sense whether I was there or not. But at least symbolically, that if there was nobody who was peeved, I was peeved. And I wasn't ready to be there. And I want to assure the people of Ghana that my being quiet in the last couple of days over the approval of this man was precisely because I had chosen my battle. It had nothing to do with me being compromised or anybody having spoken to me. In fact, they dare not, because they wouldn't.
Have you reached out to your leadership as to why they decided to agree by consensus on this?
I don't have to. A decision has been taken. We need to move on.
So that is Isaac Adongo there, an NDC member of parliament, very renowned for his criticism of the finance minister and this government's handling of the economy, going public with his criticism. In fact, Sam Okudito-Ablakwa himself, who's tonight resigned, and as I indicated earlier, he's indicated that the resignation has now been accepted by the speaker, a resignation from the appointments committee, of which he's been a very prominent vocal member. Himself publicly last week, after the first day of vetting of the finance minister, expressed his unhappiness and disappointment with the answers that the finance minister had then given.
On a lot of the questions, he has been evasive, and normally leadership will be taking note. So you can trust that the Honorable Muntaka and Honorable Haruna Idrisu will seek to press him further on all of those outstanding matters. So let's see if he will be more convincing than he was today. But as you know, I do not like to disclose how I will vote before I vote. When I do vote, I'm sure we can discuss how I voted. Just as a matter of principle, I don't want the nominee to say that even before the process is concluded, some of us probably were prejudiced or had a preconceived intention. So please bear with me.
Okay, I'll bear with you on that. But is that to suggest that he wasn't convincing today?
Yes, on some of the questions, he was too evasive. I mean, really, all my three questions, the one with PIAC, for example, he says he still has to hold meetings with PIAC. I mean, the reports are very clear, and our side has done the checks. We've started with PIAC. I mean, 2.4 billion Ghana cedis has not been accounted for. And PIAC is very clear. It's just account for the money or produce the petroleum revenues. But saying you are now going to hold meetings, how many more meetings does he want to hold? So I was not impressed with the response on the PIAC question.
So he wasn't impressed with a lot, he's resigned tonight. This is the letter that he wrote to the speaker, of course, on the back of the approval of Mr. Oforiatta, supported by his own side of the House. He says, I humbly present his comradely felicitations. This is to formally convey my decision to discontinue my membership of the Appointments Committee after days of careful reflection and thoughtful considerations. I shall like to state that the reasons for this difficult decision are both personal and on principle. Respectfully, do take note that my resignation is with immediate effect and therefore shall not be available for the vetting of nominees for deputy ministerial positions. And we know that deputy ministerial positions, we understand, should be before the Appointments Committee shortly. He goes on to say that, may I extend to you, leadership of the House, the Committee of Selection and leadership of the Great National Democratic Congress, my sincere gratitude for the opportunity to serve as a member of the Appointments Committee in the 6th, 7th, 8th Parliaments of the Republic of Ghana. Kindly accept the Right Honourable the assurances of my highest esteem. Signs that today that has not been accepted. Now, there some prominent members of the party are seizing on this, indicating that his resignation, the public criticism of the leadership by Mr. Adongo combined, it's a vote of no confidence in the leadership of Mr. Haruna Idrisu and others at the helm. Listen to Ras Mubarak, who was until recently the MP for Kumbungu for the NDC side in the House.
Very heartwarming. I am not surprised. I know that in the minority caucus are men and women of integrity, conviction politicians. And yesterday, I'm sure you heard Adongo distance himself, from the approval. What Ablakwa has done is courageous. And he and the many other conviction politicians amongst the minority caucus have to be celebrated and encouraged. to hold on to their principle. We can't continue to have politics of convenience, as we are beginning to see. The problem of the NDC in Parliament is leadership. There's a complete lack of leadership. And the sooner the party does the right thing, the better for all of us. Samia Blackwell's resignation is a vote of no confidence in the Haruna Idrisu-led minority in Parliament.
Well, in the last few minutes, we've been speaking to the minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak in an extensive interview on PM Express. That'll be aired fully tonight at 9 p.m. on the Joy News channel. He's been explaining, giving us a bit more about why the minority side decided to back the approval of Kanu Furiata's nomination, which really has set this whole internal feud ablaze in the wake of the initial disagreements that we saw among the ranks of the NDC across the country when the three ministers were then put on hold and eventually voted for, with some minority members voting for them. This kind of Furiata one appears to have set that simmering tension, really made it really go a notch higher. He's been giving us a bit more into why they went ahead to decide to support him, despite the concerns that he had.
Well, we are working at it, and I'm sure as a human institution, we will definitely overcome it.
Let's start with the very latest controversy, the approval of the finance minister designate. Of course, it's not substantive, kind courtesy of your consensus building on the committee and on the floor. Before I even come to the reactions from some of your own members, on the day leader Haruna Idrisu was approving, it was almost a conditional secondment of the motion. He read a litany of breaches that he accused the finance minister of having supervised, including the breaching of the financial regulations of this country, etc. If those are indeed factual, why does he deserve to be a finance minister? Why did he get your approval?
There are actions that leadership takes sometimes. At that moment, you may not understand, but maybe as things roll by, you begin to appreciate. I can tell you that this was not taken lightly. I mean, it was thoroughly discussed, and we came to that conclusion. And I don't want to be talking about the nitty-gritty of them. Yes, we have some concerns. I mean, you have the McKenzie, you have the PIAC report, you have other issues that during the vetting, he did promise that he was going to finish the house, and we needed to have it. But you see, the house was also scheduled to rise yesterday, and if we don't carry on and finish the business, what would mean that we'll continue to hang around here. Easter is almost coming. So, in the wisdom of the leadership, yes, we'll do this subject to this. And some of them, he's promised to make sure that he meets the PIAC, and then they reconcile the figures, latest in a month, and report to the House. So we'll be watching that. What I want to just tell the rank and file and the generality of Ghanaians is that you can be rest assured, we will hold them accountable. Don't have doubt on that. We'll hold them accountable. Remember, we're 106. We fought so well that people at a point in time forgot that they were 169 and we were 106. It was almost as if we were par. Now we are 137, they are 137 plus 1. Why would we want to have doubt that it is going to be different? I mean, we will hold them accountable. We will put up our best of fights.
They say actions speak louder than words. You're looking at the actions. The promise and the rhetoric is we'll hold them accountable. But you had an opportunity to do so in at least withdrawing your consent for his approval, and you give it.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you, that a lot of things went into that. And I'm not ready to share that with you. So.
Okay, so there has been in the last few hours, in fact, since yesterday, when it became apparent that the approval had been given, some within the ranks of the NDC, grassroots members, check the social media pages and their own platforms, accusations that the leadership of the minority side in the House, they have been compromised by some of the ministers who came before them. I put that question directly to Muntaka Mubarak. Have they been bribed?
You know that ultimately this is where all of us want to arrive. Just be working towards getting them there. But if you want them all to be happy, you may never get them there. And so, yes, I know sometimes you hear the rumor, oh, they've been compromised, and you look.
Have you been bribed?
That's very unfortunate to hear. I mean, I really wish a lot of the ministers are watching this. As nominees, Evans, many of them did everything under the sun to even meet me. And meet some of us, we refuse. So look, I mean, you're coming for vetting. Why do you want to come? Oh, just to have a chat. In the US, you know the way they do it. When you are coming for the confirmation, so let's say Evans is coming for confirmation, the 26 members on the panel, you meet each and everyone there in the office. So they will tell you ahead of time. I want to ask you about Joy FM, your time on Joy FM, and your program, PM Express. Yeah. I want to know ABCD. So you meet them individually in their office before the actual confirmation hearing. In the US, that's what they do. In Ghana, we are not yet there. If Evans is about to appear before appointment committee, and I'm seen with Evans, even having a normal chat, so people can take pictures and give it some meaning. For example, I saw a picture of the minority, the Honorable Haruna Edisu and Colonel Farata in a very healthy chat, and people say, you see, immediately after the confirmation, oh my goodness, this is a picture that they took, I think 2 years or 3 years ago when he came to do a presentation. That time we were not even in COVID, so you didn't see no smile. But people are using it. So we're very mindful of that, and we constantly reminded ourselves that as much as possible, yes, we are colleagues, because many of them were MPs, so we are colleagues in the House, but let's be careful the kind of interactions that we even have with them. So when people are talking about bribe, compromise, well, you see, people say that once it's at the perception stage, people are just throwing this. And you know, if you remember, even before the appointments committee started.
Well, catch the full interview. It's on PM Express tonight, the Joy News channel, 9 p.m. Listen to why he says he's not surprised by Samuel Okudzeto Blackwell's resignation. He also responds to concerns and calls by some for him and leader Harun Idrisu to resign. Will he? Is he regretting taking up the position? Is he getting any second thoughts about holding on to it? A lot of things he discloses in that interview you don't want to miss. It's at 9 p.m. It's on the Joy News channel. It's on PM Express tonight. Guess what? The MPP side, the majority side, of course, last week, they've been reacting already to what they perceive to be happening in the ranks of the NDC. We know that the deputy leader on the side of the MPP is on record on PM Express, who have asked Harun Idrisu. He says he would have resigned if he were him because of all that is happening. He alleges that there are extremists in the ranks of the NDC in Parliament. I'm talking about Alexander Afenyo-Markin. He joins us on the telephone line right now. Mr. Afenyo-Markin, I think I've lost him on the telephone line. We'll get him back on the line. He made these points last week, talking about the extremists in the ranks of the NDC in the House that he believes are behind the push to frustrate the leadership on the NDC side. He had asked Harun Idrisu to resign because of that. Of course, Harun Idrisu has said tonight that is not going to happen. He says he is still in charge. We'll get his thoughts on what has been unfolding in the last 24 hours on the back of the approval of Ken Ofori-Atta's nomination. You're listening to the top stories on Joy 99.7 FM. Alexander Afenyo-Markin is on the telephone line with me right now. Mr. Afenyo-Markin, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you for having me, sir.
It was you who said last week on PM Express that they are extremists in the ranks of the NDC in Parliament and that they are making life a bit tough for the leaders on the side of the NDC. Are you surprised at all that has been happening and unfolding in the last 24 hours, leading to the resignation of Samuel Okudzeto Blackwell from the committee, of which you're also a member of the Appointments Committee?
Well, I'm surprised at the resignation because I thought Sami is well experienced enough in this game of politics to know that we act as a collective. I see Sami as having a future in his own party. Perhaps he may think that he's doing what is right, but what I can foresee is that he's creating a whole mountain of mistrust for his future politics in his party. Maybe he didn't calculate well, but that's how I see it. Because you see, in Parliament, we work as a team. We work in caucuses. So if your caucus puts you there, you write a letter to Speaker. You don't write a letter to Speaker. Per the rules of the standing orders, you don't write to Speaker, and the letter finds its way to the media. I mean, I can't say he did it, but you ensure the sanctity of your relationship with your team, your colleagues, because it's not an individualistic affair. You are not there as an individual, And I've read the letter. If what is leaked is really what is written, I find it most unfortunate. And well, it is his own future and his own understanding of what he wants to do in politics. But I think it was in a bad taste, because you even the rules are clear. Your leadership cannot just take you out of a committee once it's within a session unless in consultation with you and all that. So some processes are followed. So for you to write as though the Speaker's office is an extension of the party machinery, if you look at the tone of the letter, the salutations to Speaker, writing, making reference to, and Speaker has no role to play in that. So it's unfortunate anyway.
His is just one. I mean, yesterday, Mr. Adongo also broke ranks, held a press conference, criticized his leadership, called them names. He says he's not part of it. Today, I know there have been several meetings. From your own side, watching this all unfold, are you, happy at least?
I think Adongo too, I see it as a clear, misunderstanding of how the parliamentary politics plays out within a scheme of things. You don't do that. Okay, it's a caucus matter. So if you want to do that to force a leadership change at your side, well, that I would also say it's a matter of ambition and a matter of wanting to spark something within your ranks. Of course, that's one, yes. But if you want to say, like you've gone to a committee, practice and convention, is that you go to committee, you express your views, you come up with a recommendation. The practice is that the plenary will generally carry it. That is how we've been working. So for Adongo, who is a member of the Finance Committee, he is now a deputy ranking. And I think all of us must be properly schooled on how Parliament works. And we should appreciate how we should conduct ourselves. So really, it's unfortunate they also did that anyway.
So your friends in leadership on the NDC side clearly under a lot of pressure. Do you sympathize with them?
Well, it's a crisis any leader goes through when there's a certain level of expectation. I hope that they would go through successfully by managing the situation.
I don't know if you had any conversations with them. Do they have your support through this difficult time?
This is their party matter. We have nothing to do with it. I mean, I can comment on the approach and how it reflects on our work as Parliament.
But this is all about, the latest eruption about Ken Ofori-Atta and his approval.
No, but, Okudzeto Ablakwa was in a meeting where we all agreed that Mr. Ofori-Atta should be passed by consensus. We were all there.
He was there?
After the vetting, we sat together. He was there. He had the opportunity to ask his questions. He was part. He didn't oppose. So I don't think that Mr. Ablakwa is resigning because of Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta. He was part of it. I was there in the meeting. So I don't want to attribute it. He has given personal reasons. I am saying that the way it was done, not too right, in my view. And that when you are building trust, when you are doing teamwork, you need to watch it so that in future, let's say tomorrow, Mr. Blackwell becomes the leader of NDC caucus in Parliament. All right? He will be seeing things that others behind him would not see. And people may disagree with him. So that is why I'm saying that he should look at it. Same to Adongo. He came in, he was not, he was quote-unquote Bob No rank. Today he's a deputy ranking. And he should see that he's growing within his party in Parliament. So certain actions, you have to check it. You are not a backbencher. And if tomorrow you also become the leader, bear in mind that others may not see the things that you see. And I've given several examples. I mean, when we also came in the backbench those days, we had issues. There were times that we had problems with how things were being run. But at least we had leaders or senior members who became restraining, factors. They say, hey, young man, this is not how the things are done. I can remember Papa Ushankuma Akoto say, even E.T. Mensah, on the other side, they will school you. They say, hey, in Parliament, this is the way it is done. I remember the story Doa Jaho, Speaker of Parliament, told us about E.T. Mensah, J.H. Mensah, and J.H. Owusu Champo and D.F. Annan, where they had a hot debate, only to see them at the lobby having whiskey. And then the young man said, you these old men, what are you doing to us? And I said, look, we disagree in principle, but you don't lose friendship. So I've grown to appreciate how Parliament works. You build trust, you try to convince, persuade, work together. If you have issues, you build with your caucus. That's why the whip system is there. You have a leader and all that, you work through it. So the way things are coming up, I think that, those individuals who are taking such positions must look at their own future. Because, like the accounts will say, what do you been there?
Yeah, I mean, just to be fair to our Blackwell, I mean, he may have been part of that meeting, the big meeting that approved the Ken Ofori-Atta, but that necessarily doesn't mean that he endorsed it. He was part of the meeting,
please,
correct?
With respect, I mean, quote me that my brother, I sat there, he was there. We agreed. He added his voice to the decision we took. Don't let me go into specifics. Don't let it be as if he didn't agree or he didn't consent to Mr. Ofori-Atta's approval.
Did he consent to his approval?
He hasn't said so anyway in his letter. So don't let us speculate.
I mean, that's a direct question. In that meeting, did he consent to his approval?
What I'm saying, first of all, let me situate the argument right. Mr. Blackwell's resignation was not premised on Ken Ofori-Atta's approval. Anyway, he hasn't said that. So don't let us limit the conversation there. He only said for personal reasons and some other factors. So let's take it the way he has put it. If you want to ask me specifically on Ken Ofori-Atta, I will say that the committee, all of us spoke about it and agreed. There were certain demands that were made, and those demands were supposed to be made subsequent to the approval. Others were, precedent, and that was done. I mean, and he was part of the process. So I don't think that he has any issue with Ofori-Atta. I think in respect of Adongo, that's one I strongly think that he misjudged his own view of it because for whatever reason, I don't know. And I think that it is wrong for him to have done that anyway. But these are matters of perhaps internal issues that is getting out of hand. I hope they're able to solve it for us to continue to work together. I'm
grateful. That is Alexander Afenyo marking there. Of course, he's the Deputy Majority Leader in the House on the side of the MPP. Still ahead here on Newsnight.
In charge, I'm minority leader this morning.
Will you resign?
No, that's not on the